Hello BookTube, this is Brecky from Brecky Writes, this is Brecky Reads, and this is my book chat video for Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Okay, so if my thumbnail did not give it away, I loved Six of Crows. This is a 5 out of 5 star read for me. I absolutely love it. Oh my goodness. Six of Crows is a heist novel that takes place in the same universe as the Grisha trilogy, although not in the same place. And Leigh Bardugo has said that the events of Six of Crows take place about 2 years after the end of the events in the Grisha trilogy. So the same general time, but in Kerch, not in Ravka for the most part. Six of Crows circles around 6 interesting characters who are brought together in order to pull off an impossible heist. Each of these characters has a different set of skills and insights that are absolutely necessary for this heist, and they all have some interesting personality quirks that make them a fun team to follow. This is the first in a duology, and the sequel, Crooked Kingdom, is set to come out this September in the United States, and I think maybe early October for the UK. Beyond kind of talking about the fact that this is a heist novel that takes place in the Grisha universe with an interesting cast of characters, that's about as much of a review as I can give without giving away any important spoilers into this world. So if you haven't read this book yet, you might want to just pause this video and like come back to this, put it in a saved video file, because from here on out there are going to be spoilers. So you've been warned, this moment forward. Spoilers. Okay friends, so let's just talk about how awesome this book is. I've had a lot of feelings. I finished this book earlier today and I've been kind of like walking around my house having feelings. I've just been feeling everywhere and I don't know what to do with it. So I'm coming to you, BookTube. Basically, I think that this is one of the best YA books I've read all year. I keep saying that. There have been a couple that have ranged in this category, but I think this is leagues better than the Grisha trilogy. I just connected with these characters and felt like the ensemble cast was so well done. I felt like this asked some amazing questions of ultimate concern, like what makes us monstrous and what makes us human and what makes us haunted. If I was gonna summarize this entire book in one quote, this is what it would be. "They fear you as I once feared you," he said. "As you once feared me. We are all someone's monster, Nina." That is what Matthias says to her after they have escaped from the Ice Palace and she has been able to kind of knock out an entire Ferdian army. There are, of course, the 6 main cast of characters in here, and I just love all of them. Now, my favorite of the characters, and I think that she's a favorite of most people, is Inej. I love Inej. I love the fact that Inej is Suli and that she has perhaps like a Latina vibe. I don't know exactly what her ethnicity would translate to in the current world that we live in, maybe Romani, but she is certainly not ethnically the same as the Ravkins or the Ferdians or even the Kerch. So she is ethnically other. She grew up in a traveling band of acrobats. She is this quiet, stealthy powerhouse who is wise beyond her years, who holds on to her faith even though she has every reason to believe that like everything she's ever been taught about faith is a lie. She is just this quietly determined person who is not going to let her circumstances beat her, even when she has moments of weakness. I love that she is their spider, their wraith. I love that she is the keeper of secrets and that is what she is needed for. She's not even needed because she's a great assassin. She's needed because she trades in secrets, and that's kind of how she's been able to become useful to the dregs. I just think that is so wonderful. I also love Inej because she knows what she wants, and the fact that, you know, her father talks about her arrow aiming true, and when she's climbing out of the incinerator shaft and she's sort of orchestrating everyone's bid for freedom, she realizes that even though she loves Kaz, her world with the dregs isn't enough, and she wants the money because she wants her life to have purpose and to matter and to be more than just the keeper of secrets. I just think that that is so awesome, and it's one of the reasons I adore her so much. One of my favorite moments with Inej is when she's standing there with Kaz and she just looks him in the eye and she's like, "I will have you without your armor, Kaz Brecker. I will not have you at all." Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't. I really can't. Oh, powerful moment. I just feel like that is like a movie moment. Yes. I have a lot of feelings, clearly. Okay, so yeah, Inej is my favorite because she's badass, but she's badass in this like sneak up on you and surprise, I'm super badass kind of way. My next two favorite characters are tied with each other, and they are Kaz Brekker and Nina. Kaz, I think, is one of the most intricate characters I've read about in a long time. The more the story unfolds and the more you learn about Kaz's life and what haunts him and what he's afraid of, like the more complex he becomes. Like I didn't really get the whole gloves and not touching anybody thing. It didn't occur to me that he doesn't touch people until they were talking about his gloves and until Inej was observing it, and we were probably solid like halfway to 2/3 through this book, and then I was like, oh, he doesn't touch anybody, does he? And oh, that scene in the beginning where she's like watching him take off his shirt to like bathe, but she talks about not being able to touch him. I thought it was more like a job thing, not like a he doesn't touch people thing, and it would just blew my mind. Kaz reminds me of like a Victorian character, somebody who, you know, had this life and he's fallen so far down and now he is fueled by vengeance. And what happens when the object of your vengeance is destroyed? His whole vengeance plot is to kill Pekka Rollins, and not just to kill him, but to like dismantle his whole empire. What happens when that goes away? So I'm really curious about book 2. His viciousness, but it's calculated. The fact that he is where he is because he can read people and he knows where to hit people where it hurts. And he doesn't have, not that he doesn't have remorse, but he has had to like swallow that feeling of pity or remorse, or just not even kind, because he can be kind. He just cloaks his kindness in sales. Like he's a salesman. It just is so fascinating, but someone who isn't a sociopath. I mean, he isn't a sociopath. He's hardened himself because of his life and his circumstances. I just think he's one of the most fascinating characters I've read about, and I'm kind of sad this is only a duology because I could just dissect Kaz Brekker's psychology. Like, it is so fascinating to me. And he's morally gray, but he kind of wants to not be a bad guy. Oh, I love him. I equally love Nina. I love the fact that Nina is scrappy, but not in a way that we think of like scrappy characters. She has had this really hard go of life. She has been instilled with a lot of fear and prejudice. She has this, you know, fearsome power, and she's not using it for evil purposes, right? She's helping people feel like they're calm. She has managed to sort of claw her way out of a really terrible situation. She has betrayed the person that she loves. She has given in to fear and prejudice, and she wants to be a better person than that, right? She doesn't want to be that person, and yet she carries and harbors all of those years of being taught to be prejudiced, all of the fears of her reality, all of this insecurity, when I think a lot of what Nina wants is security. I think that's what her driving, motivating factor is the desire for security. I love that she's this round, voluptuous woman. I think that as a visibility and the fact that makes her kind of desirable is really lovely to see as someone who is a round, voluptuous woman. And I think that the fact that she's got banter and she's confident and she's snappy, that she is almost the opposite of Inej in that way, that Inej is the quiet one that fades completely into the shadows, while Nina is the one that's gonna stand up front and like be in your face. I just love that is the contrast that we get for the two female characters. Just so awesome. I also really love Jesper. I think that he is another great one for the banter. I love that he has the one-liners, the zingers. I love that he is Zemeni, and Zemeni characters seem to be African. Like if we were going to compare them to our world, they might be African-American of some kind, and that he is a lot of things, and he's not really sure what that means for him in the long run. Is he just the sharpshooter? Is he just a gambling addict? Is he just a Zemeni boy who's gotten lost in the big city of Ketterdam? Is he a Grisha fabricator, and should he pull that part of his identity, that part of him that he's been trying to swallow and ignore for most of his life? Should he like start acknowledging that? I thought that was one of the biggest reveals of this book, was that Jesper was a fabricator. I think that was a really great plot twist, and I thought it just really interesting and made a few things make some sense. I think all of his jittery movement, right, he's not using his power, so I can see where all that kind of kinetic energy is pushing itself in different ways. And then we have Matthias, the Phrygian, that is some kind of Scandinavian people group. Those are my people ethnically. Brecky's a Norwegian name, so I was really interested to see how she played that world out, seeing the wolves as sacred, having the gods speak through water, and having a sacred ash tree reminded me of lots of stories and myths that I was told as a child and read as a child. I really loved that he was sort of a religious zealot and a patriot for his country who had swallowed all of these prejudices, all of these lies, right? He was a witch hunter. And then here is a witch, like here's a Grisha that he's come to hunt, to exterminate, and to use the words exterminate, right? He says that she's not even as precious as a dog. And then he realizes, oh hey, you're a human. Like, you have fears, and you have compassion, and you can be funny, and you can be beautiful, and you like food, and I mean, you are not so different than I am. And I love that that is an undercurrent that's happening in this book. I think it is so important to see, and it's not cheesy, it's actually really moving. And oh man, I loved it so much. And I also love that he didn't just stop believing in his gods as he came to understand that Nina as a Grisha wasn't this like evil person, that he was still able to hold on to his like religious tradition and change his worldview while still holding on to the religious tradition. And I love that their love wasn't like gushy. I love the fact that Nina and Matthias had this bantering back and forth, like even as she's ill with taking the drugs, that she is still bantering with him. And finally, our last little crow was Waylon. And little Waylon, I just, you know, he was my least favorite character throughout the adventures and the heist, and at the end you kind of realize why. His brain works differently, and he is going to be a different character. I hope we get inside his brain in the next book. I hope we get to see the world through his eyes in the next book. I just wanted to hug him. I feel like he represents, when we talk about privilege, this idea that people who have privilege and who have a lot of material opportunities and wealth, you know, that how hard can their lives be? And yet, you know, they can be really terrible, and they can be hard in just a different way than those of us who don't have privilege experience. I loved the fact that there is some kind of nebulous sexuality with Jesper and Waylon. It is kind of assumed that Waylon had an affair with a tutor, that tutor was probably male, and so that's what caused his father to kick him out. But it's clear that there is some attraction between Waylon and Jesper, like that Jesper may be somewhere either gay or bi, somewhere in the LGBTQ community. The fact that there are these two queer characters, that they're not defined by their queerness, right? They're not defined by their sexual orientation, but that it's just there, it's a natural part of them, in the way that heterosexual characters aren't defined by their heterosexual orientation. I thought that was great. I thought that the fact that Jesper just kind of liked having Waylon around and then started flirting with him and enjoyed that was just, it was just so natural, and it worked really well, and I'm hoping for more in book number 2. There's a lot of things I could say about the actual heist. It gave me a lot of stress because I was so worried for my babies. I am currently in a state of like panic about Inej and really worrying about her because she's been taken, and Van Eck is like such a scoundrel, and I just want to punch him in the face. I'm sure Kaz will do that on my behalf. I have some interesting thoughts about where I think this will go. I'm curious about how Kaz is going to balance this consuming passion now to rescue Inej, to get his money, to kind of earn his, not necessarily his freedom, but earn her freedom for her as an act of love, right? I think part of the reason he was beginning to doubt himself as Kaz Brecker, the Dirty Hands, was because his love for Inej is reminding him of the boy he was before all these horrible things happened, and how is he going to balance these two parts of himself? And I'm really hoping we explore more of that in Cricket Kingdom. I'm also really curious if we're gonna have any opportunities to see Inej become a pirate. Like, I hope that Inej and Kaz make it out of this crazy situation and that they become pirates that hunt slavers. Like, that is my dream for them. I really want that, and I don't know. I'm also really worried about Nina, and like, is she going to survive? You know, because I think that this is the kind of book where there's no guarantee that your babies are going to make it. I am curious because I think that there could be some ways that some of our characters could die as self-sacrificing options for others, and that would really work, but I don't want that to be the case, so I'm really interested to see where the next book goes. I need to know, and I'm worried about my babies, and I just need to know. And I want to see Kaz kicking butt, and I want to see Jesper and Waylon flirting, and I want to see how Matthias takes care of Nina. I don't know how it's all gonna work out, but I am excited. I cannot wait for the sequel, and I'm gonna have to just go hyperventilate in the corner because I could seriously talk about this for another hour. What did you guys think? Were you big fans of Six of Crows? I really hope so. Who is your favorite character? Yeah, love me some Inej. I love that Kaz has a visible disability. I just think that's really important, and representation-wise in YA, just the more we can get diverse bodies and peoples in our books, the better. Let me know what your favorite moments were and what you are excited about in the next book. Hope you guys are doing well, and I will talk to you later. Bye!